It's time to begin to set the field later today for the 108th Indianapolis 500. Welcome to qualifying day from the world's greatest race course, where we have been greeted by fog today. Kevin Lee, Townsend Bell, Dave Burns, and Dylan Welch will join us here in a matter of moments, and we'll set the scene for what is in store today. First with practice sessions, and then we'll start qualifying from 11 until 5:50 today, and we will set positions 13 through 30 and find out who still is in play for the pole and who must go through the last row shootout. We are green. Blue, the Colts mascot, gets us started here today. The field is split in two. Those that drew in the qualifying draw last night at 6:15, positions 1 through 17, are available and allowed to take the track for the first 30 minutes, and the rest of the field in the final 30 of this hour until 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
As Romain Grosjean looks easy flat through turn 4. What was he looking like yesterday? 19th on the single lap, no toe, a 232.1. So comfortably mid-pack yesterday, and you see the difference with no wind, 238 going into turn 1. It should match up pretty close to that on the back straight as he goes into turn 3.
You know, I know teams are hesitant to go out and run in this morning situation, especially if they have an early draw in the first hour, because you want the engine cooled as much as possible. And then you also back it up a half hour because this was scheduled to begin at 8:30. So that's why you don't see a lot of cars on track. But it is a great opportunity to get clear runs and not get the aid of an aerodynamic tow. So again, you see the clock for the entire hour, but the cars on track right now must vacate the premises with 30 minutes remaining. And then the second half of the draw has the final 30 minutes of this session. Grosjean, by the way, is one of those going out early, so they obviously felt like they needed to work on something or are not as concerned about cooling down the engine. He'll probably qualify at about 11:20. He is 5th in line.
Well, and it could be that they just want to get their driver tuned up too. Remember, Romain Grosjean's been doing this for a bit, but it's not like he's a 10-year oval veteran. So oftentimes this could be a situation, Dave, where the driver's saying, hey, I'd like to have a warm-up. I don't want to just go cold turkey straight out of the gate at 11 o'clock. But for Kyffin Simpson, we talked about this the other day. The story of his rookie 2024 season has just been solid. He's run, finished all the races. Qualifying's not been spectacular, but he's finished higher than he's qualified in all 4 races to start the season. And I think most importantly, he's extracting every learning opportunity. He's not crashing cars. He's just taking what's on offer and building his database. He's got Sebastian Bourdais helping him, which is one of the bigger databases you could possibly find in open wheel racing. But it's
white flag, white flag.
It's the Ganassi speed that is the concern. As you look at the speeds there, that's still about a mile an hour, maybe 1.5 slower than what we just saw out of Romain Grosjean in a Chevy. This could be the most important run of this practice, which is Nolan Siegel getting a chance to get up to speed here, and for all of us to see if this backup car, now that wing angle does look conservative. That looks pretty heavily nose down. So this might be just get a rookie confident again with staying flat before then you come in and trim out. It's noticeably more positive there. But for the team, it's a big deal right here. What's this car feel like? How does it accelerate? Is everything working? Are all the electronics producing the data we need? The radios? I mean, this is unusual to have to rebuild an entire new car overnight in Gasoline Alley and then just send it with a very short 30-minute practice.
And unlike Marcus Ericsson, they had a spare chassis that was already prepared to be a super speedway chassis. This was a road course car that raced last weekend, so a little extra work, and that's why it took 12 hours. The crash was just a little after 1:30, and they finished about 1:30 this morning to have this car ready to go at the start of the day today.
Little confidence lift on the throttle from Nolan Siegel there in turn 4. So let's see what turn 1 looks like. This is where it went all wrong yesterday. That's a massive lift. Turn 2, let's see if he starts to stay flat. Smaller lift. Went to about 3/4 throttle there.
That first lap, by the way, was 219.7, so he needs about 9 miles per hour to be in the ballpark.
Lifted in turn 3. And there it is, wide open in turn 4. Okay, now you've kind of settled back in as a driver. It's like, okay,
got 2 more in here, 2 more seatbelts into it.
Inhale here, focus, and try to keep your foot down. No, back to half throttle in turn 1.
That voice you hear talking to him, that's veteran Charlie Kimball.
I saw Charlie in the engineering room. That's a big deal right there. Flat through turn 2. That's the corner where he lost control and went upside down yesterday. So that's a big box tick. To know you can go flat through 2, but still a big lift in 3. That's actually a surprise. Turn 3 should not be that big of a deal in conditions like this. Lifting in 4. So he's got to get flat here.
2:23.6 the last lap, 2:24.4 that lap, so he is getting quicker. And as you said, this may not be about speed at all. It may be about comfort. And there is still time. The engine won't be cool, but there is still time to make another sim run before this session ends.
And what we don't know is what is the balance that Siegel is feeling in there. Does the car have a lot of understeer? Is he working the controls right now? Still a big lift down in turn 3. So this is step 1 in the process, but from here, lifting in all 4 corners.
Checkered flag, go to mix 1 at the line, mix
3 of the 4 corners. Now it's, you got 15 minutes to maybe make another run, and then you'll go in the line for qualifying. So it's a stair step back to where you were, where you want to be. So, as the 11 runs here, Dave, the performance out of Armstrong is looking just that, pretty strong.
And I did ask his strategist, Taylor Kyle, why this morning. He said searching for more speed. We feel like we'll have it when we hit the track this morning, and hoping what we dialed in takes the Ganassi organization even further down the road to speed for qualifying this afternoon, actually this morning, because as you've talked about, they need it. So Marcus out there now sending good lap times. Meanwhile, driver who was also on track was Romain Grosjean for Juncos Hollinger Racing. You had a 4-lap run out there. What did you feel about your race car? Was it an improvement over yesterday?
Yeah, I think we got a bit lost yesterday afternoon, so we reverted back to something Agustin drive yesterday. Balance was very good. I think we can trim a little bit now for qualifying. We're just waiting to see the conditions. We are lucky with a peak number 5 for quali, so that's a good start, but now we just need to make sure that we get everything right. But the team has been working well so far. I said yesterday, not our best day, but I think we're back on track.
By the 11 pit box here, so we thought we'd catch up with a man who knows. He's been watching all weekend. Sometimes we get a little concerned, and there's no concern to be had. What about the speed chip in your race cars and the qualifying coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we have some concern. You know, we're not even we're used to being the best Honda. We're not even the fastest Hondas right now, so we have some work to do to catch up. And but we feel good about our race car, and you know, we're just not. I don't know that we're going to be setting any qualifying records this week.
Did engineering and everybody say that they had something they thought they could get a little more out of it? Are you willing to just kind of make the field and then race for the win on next Sunday?
Well, I don't know. We're not happy just to make the field, I can tell you that. You know, but obviously you work in the off season to be here today and this weekend, and obviously we're like I said, I don't think we're going to set any records today.
Stand by. Question from Townsend Bell.
Yeah, Dave, just wondering what Chip thinks about balancing the performance request from Honda versus reliability. They've had a couple engine changes, so does that concern him at this point?
Balancing the performance request from Honda versus reliability, as you've had a couple of issues with failures here.
Yeah, you know, obviously we've had some engine issues. Yeah, I'm a little bit perplexed by that. That hasn't helped us looking for speed at all, having to change engines and whatever. So, yeah, I mean, we have some work to do today.
And his teammate Alex Palou just went to the top in this session that includes less than a third of those that we will see later today. 2:32.7 on his first hot lap today. Here comes number 2.
2 more laps.
That's a lot closer, I think, to where they need to be. Question is, if you rolled out a Newgarden or McLaughlin right now in these conditions, how fast could they go? I would think high 234s.
Yeah. Dixon a 2:31.9. And he, I think, has just finished his first fast lap. By the way, Catherine Legg ran in the 2:29s. 2:29.9 her best. 2:29.6 her last. Not much scrub of speed from 2 to 3 for Palou. So Dixon looks like he did 1 lap and he came back down to pit lane.
Did a lot of that yesterday, I thought, too. Not completing runs. And I don't think because the car was horrible. I think it's just like, hey, I've been doing this long enough. I've got to read. Let's not waste time just running around. I know what to expect. If it's not right, I'm just going to pit and we'll make another change and go again. Of course, time is limited. 21 minutes left to go. So Palou finishes his run. 2:32.3 would be that 4-lap qualifying sim average.
Let's hear from Nolan Siegel. Dave.
He's hopped out of the car and talked to a lot of people, including media, now us. How are you doing, and how was the warm-up? I'll call it a warm-up for you this morning.
It's good to get back into it and shake down a pretty much brand new car. The guys did a great job getting back together. Everything's working as it should. We'll see if we can get it into a more comfortable window for qualifying. It's currently a little bit uncomfortable. So, you know, hopefully we can sort it out and be good to go later today.
So you're working with veteran Charlie Kimball. How has he worked with you after yesterday? And then even this morning, knowing that, yeah, we're going to have to get a little bit more speed out of it and get that comfortability back in. How has he worked with you through this?
Yeah, it's been great having Charlie here. He's been through a lot here at the Speedway, and I haven't. So having someone that, you know, can help me through this and, you know, help me get in the right mindset, figure out what we need to do to execute properly is really important. And, you know, I think we're doing things properly. I feel like I'm in a good place mentally and physically. So, you know, we'll see what happens later, and I think it'll be okay. I think we'll figure it out, and, you know, all of these guys here have helped me a lot. So
as we see what Scott Dixon has found.
Not enough.
Really, if he has found anything.
Not enough, Kevin. 231.3. So now, if you're Scott Dixon, as much as he is pretty cool and monotone in the interviews, you're starting to get a little fired up, right? You're going, what's going on here? You got Palou almost a mile an hour quicker, Lundqvist, Armstrong. Scott Dixon looks to be the 4th fastest Ganassi car, apples to apples. Conditions still ideal, and the speed just simply not there for the 9. Consistency spot on. And this is where, as a driver, you come in and you're like, guys, there's really nothing else I can do. This thing is stuck. I'm wide open, and it's just not pulling on the straightaways. So there you see it, 235, just 236. You know, even with Connor Daly, Palou, you were seeing 237, 238 at the end of the straightaways. I'll bet this is right in the same 1/10 of a mile an hour. Let's see, 231.0. So it did drop. And all you can do behind the wheel, Kev, is just try to free up your hands as best as possible. I don't see any shifting going on. He's running 5th gear all the way around. That's not unusual for the wind condition right now, which is effectively 0 as Mike Hall watches on.
And this is a driver, let's look at it from this standpoint. Only Rick Mears has won as many poles for the Indianapolis 500 as Scott Dixon. He's won 5. Mears has won 6. Elio Castroneves, AJ Foyt, and Rex Mays have 4.
And unfortunately for Scott Dixon, where he can really make a difference in qualifying, regardless of the car's performance, but just relative to a lot of the other drivers in the field, is when the conditions are tough. If it's hot, if it's windy, and today and tomorrow, you're looking at pretty, I'm not going to say easy, but predictable conditions for the rest of the field. So Scott's going to feel kind of helpless, like, where do I differentiate myself? Watching Catherine Legge here, and, you know, it's one thing if I was coaching Catherine like Jack Harvey is down there, one thing I might suggest is on the first few laps, even though the car is stuck, open your hands up, get closer to the wall, build the radius, and save some of your Firestone newness for laps 3 and 4, if that makes sense. So even if the car feels like you don't have to drive the full line, the bigger your radius, the less demanding you'll be, and it'll probably help you later on. But she looks comfortably flat and consistent here. You got to wonder how much downforce is in that Dale Coyne number 51, and how much will they start to peel off later on today.
229.75 is the last speed that I see listed, and that's the 4-lap average. We're seeing 229.6 throughout the day. She just did a 229.6, so pretty consistent. Really consistent.
Consistent, but not fast. So yeah, hopefully this gives them the confidence. Looking at that rear wing angle, it's still just maybe right at 1 degree nose down, 0 degrees in that range. But this is what you have to do, is you got to get your driver to where they're flat, comfortably flat for 4 laps, and then you start to step from there.
All right, Catherine, we're coming down for the checkers. We go to map 1. We do not need a cool down. Box.
All right, officially we are done with the 1 hour of practice availability that only 9 cars took advantage of this morning. The rest feel like, we got what we got, and we're going to go at 11 o'clock this morning.
Looking at the charts there, it's 232 down to 224, 8 miles an hour separating the 4-lap averages for Nolan Siegel and Catherine Legge. They're going to be searching, hunting for more over the next few hours, and hoping that when it counts for real, that they found some speed